Hey guys, Bethany Wilson here with Rough Beginnings Rehab. Had something interesting happen at the park and it made me think about a lot of questions I get about marking good behaviors, when to mark, how to mark, things like that. So first I'll tell you what happened with the guy at the park. He had his dog running around off leash chasing squirrels, but he was trying to keep his dog's focus and the dog was off leash. It was a very young dog. The dog would rush up to a tree, act like it was about to bark or maybe jump. I heard some whining, things like that. And then I heard click. I'm like, what? Why is he clicking for the dog hunting down the squirrel? But then when he would click, you know, clicker training, click, mark a good behavior, the dog would turn and look at him and he would give the dog a treat. So after I was just doing downstays with a client dog, so we just kind of hung out and I just observed this guy at a distance to try to figure out what it was he was doing or trying to do. What he was trying to do was get his dog's focus and then reward the focus. So he was letting him do this. He was letting him take off and go after a tree. And this happened over and over and over again, almost mechanically, almost like teaching down, come, stay, you know, or whatever. It was done so mechanically. Rush up to a tree and then click, look at dad, get food. And I mean, I would have swore that that's what the guy was going for if it wasn't for the fact that he then eventually put him on leash and was trying to do a better job of getting the dog's attention before he rushed up to the tree. So you know, I wish I could have helped, but people generally don't like it if strangers go up to them and give them advice. I mean, who would like that? Nobody. But man, he was accidentally marking the behavior of rushing up to the tree just to get the dog's attention. And we had someone, when we lived in an apartment building, we had someone who tried clicker training because their boxer was out of control. And she would go up to the door and she would be very angry and very stressed out, I could tell, for good reason. That dog was crazy. And she would click and go sit, and click, and sit, click, sit, click, sit. She was trying, it was the same thing, except she was angry. She was trying to use the clicker to get the good behavior, to get focus, because the clicker is associated with food. So if you click it, a lot of times the dog will be like, food, you know? But they weren't using the clicker to train the dog, or they were accidentally the wrong way, a bad way. They're marking the bad behavior. So that guy was accidentally marking the dog rushing up to the tree. Good, rush up to the tree. Look at me, treat. Good, rush up to the tree. Look at me, treat. That's what the guy was accidentally doing. So I completely understand why he thinks that is like a bridge. You know, maybe this is a bridge to the good behavior. Maybe this is the bridge to getting more focus, but it's not. Because dogs are so meticulous in the way that they learn. They are so meticulous in how they learn, what they learn, when they learn it, body language. Most dogs anyway, there are some exceptions, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because you're accidentally marking the bad behavior. So you're gonna get more of the bad behavior. You might get more focus. The dog might be less likely to try to climb the tree or bark at the tree, but you're marking the chase of the squirrel. So what are you gonna get? A dog that runs across the street after a squirrel. You know what I mean? Because you're marking the bad behavior. So I just wanted to put this out there for any of you guys who use verbal markers like good or yes, or use clicker training. You don't use the verbal marker to get the good behavior just because it happens to be associated with something positive. You'll really screw up your training, really screw up your dog. You use the marker once the dog has given you the good behavior, okay? Now, is there maybe a random exception? Maybe you have your dog off leash and they're not responding to an e-collar, or you haven't e-collar trained them and they're off leash, which they shouldn't be, but maybe they are. Lots of people do it. I used to do it when I was younger before I did e-collar training. Got in some dangerous situations too. But maybe your dog is about to do something dangerous and you just go, good, because that's associated with food. Just hoping that that will make them stop what they're doing. Okay, one time out of 1,000 or a few hundred, I get it. You can use it, as, to prevent something awful happening, but you can't use that as a training tool. You can't, you'll screw up your dog. You're completely going against what you want to do. So it's the same thing with no as well. If your dog, okay. Sorry, let's see if you can even see her. There she is, working with her skateboard fears. I heard her moving around. So if you have a dog and let me just use her as an example. Let's say she gets up because she wants to move away from the skateboard because she's nervous of it. Let's say she gets up and goes to another bed and lays down, and I don't catch it. I can't say, after she's already gone to the bed and laid down, I'm not going to say no and then bring her back to the bed. My moment is long gone. Just like if your dog pees when you're gone to work, you don't come home and go no and make a big deal about it. Your moment is gone. If I don't catch her in the act, then I just go, no big deal, and I reset her like it's no big deal. You have to catch them like if she's laying down. I have to catch her in the act of getting up. Man, she's moving around. No. Down. Good. I have to catch her in the act, right? Otherwise, my no has no value. It can actually cause more anxiety, and it's very confusing for the dog. You can confuse a dog with positive reinforcement just as easily, like using food and rewarding fearful behaviors on accident, things like that. So your markers, your no and your yes markers, are very, very valuable. So you need to know how to use them. All right? I hope that helps.